Hello everyone. Welcome to the Legal Star Wars series by latestlaws.com. I am Divyansh Hanu Rathi, founder latestlaws.com. Today we bring to you our interview with legal stalwart John Quinn, sir, who is founder and chairman of Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan LLP, which is the largest law firm in the world devoted solely to business litigation and arbitration. Sir has been regarded as one of the top trial lawyers in the world. He has consistently been ranked as Band 1 by Chambers USA for general commercial and trial litigation in US. In 2009, he was named California Attorney of the Year by California Lawyer for extraordinary achievements in intellectual property law. California Law Business recognized Quinn Sir as one of the top three trial lawyers of choice by General Counsel in California, but his recognition extends far beyond California. Euromoney Institutional Investor calls Quinn Sir one of the leading litigation lawyers, and he is listed for litigation in Euromoney's Best of the Best Global Expert Guide 2018. His firm represents several high-profile clients, and they are the go-to law firm for Twitter, Tesla CEO Elon Musk, Google, Sony, Samsung, Citadel, and SoftBank. Under his leadership, the firm has grown to 33 offices in 13 countries across four continents, employing more than 1,000 lawyers and generating more than 2 billion in revenue annually. In 2020, BTI Consulting surveyed more than 300 legal decision makers and found that Emanuel Quincer was the most feared law firm worldwide. Quinn Emanuel was the most feared law firm worldwide. John is the presenter of popular broadcast Law Disrupted. Quincer has always been looking for new opportunities for growth in India, and he sees new possibilities in India as well. So here we are for interviewing him, and it's our privilege and honor to have him for this interview. And he believes that the developing countries and their potential it comes with certain challenges, and so we are here with him to discuss more on these uh, questions that we will be giving him and addressing him these questions on such topics. So, sir, we'd like to take forward this interview. And our first question would be, sir, that how has been your experience with the developing countries which have opened their legal industry to foreign law firms, vis-a-vis the countries which are still yet to open their legal industry to foreign law firms?
Well, thank you, Divyansh. It's very nice to speak with you, to meet with you, and to be on this program with you. Thank you very much. Look, we have experience with law firms, jurisdictions where foreign law firms can open offices and where they cannot open offices. In both situations, we tend to work with local firms. I don't know that in many cases, it simply doesn't make that much difference. We have a major practice in Korea, for example. It's our largest practice in all of Asia. Under the law there, you can have a local office. We've chosen not to have a local office. Instead, we've made a strategic decision really to get close to and partner with the major law firms. So I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all answer. It's going to be very different jurisdiction by jurisdiction. The one common factor I would say is that for us, it's important to have friends on the ground in the local bar.
Right, sir. Absolutely correct. Local collaborations are what you look forward to. So my next question would be, sir, what do you think attracts foreign law firms to India's ever-growing and evolving legal industry?
Well, of course, we're a litigation firm. We only do disputes work. We don't do deal work. We don't do M&A. We don't do capital markets work. And under the proposed rule changes in India, I'm actually not sure if they've been implemented or not, but the foreign law firms could not open offices to actually litigate in India and to practice Indian law. So for us, it really doesn't make that much difference. The way we would approach the market is we're not looking to open a local office. We're looking to be available and get to know Indian multinational firms, tech firms, the things that Indian businesses do so well, and help them with their issues abroad in cross-border disputes and arbitration disputes and the like.
Right, sir. So developing on what you have said, sir. So, what was your first reaction to Bar Council of India uh, rules that allowed entry of foreign law firms from worldwide on reciprocation basis? So, what was your first reaction to entry of foreign law firms?
It's about time, was my reaction. I mean, I think people exaggerate the importance of this. Like I can remember 25, 30 years ago when in Japan, they first opened the market in Japan, and people were worried, oh, it's going to be the end of the big Japanese four law firms in Tokyo. Foreign firms will come in and swoop in and hire away, all the big rainmakers. Guess what? 25, 30 years later, the same four firms are the major firms in Tokyo. The presence of the international firms has not made that much difference. I think there's plenty of work for everyone. And by partnering with local firms and international firms, I think there's a benefit to the firms and the clients. That if you work together, you're able to provide better service to clients.
Right, sir. So, develop like you shared our example with Japan and how the development has been over 25 to 30 years. So, with coming of these rules, sir, in India also, like the opposition was in Japan, there have been the opposition from different fronts. Also, from there's a Society of Indian Law Firms. They have opposed entry of foreign law firms. So, what would be your message to such opposition? What would be your word of wisdom for that? In India, there has been certain opposition from local lawyers as well as law firms.
Well, I guess it's understandable in the sense that it'll be perceived as a significant change and potentially a threat. But I really don't think international firms are going to uh, take away a lot of the business of the major Indian companies, multinational companies, and high net worth individuals. The Indian company law firms are much better positioned to service those clients, but they'll have a need to work with international firms and vice versa for the international firms and the local firms. So I guess my advice would be that I think it's more of an opportunity than a threat, frankly.
Absolutely right, sir. So, sir, coming to our next question now, what are the emerging areas of law in India which you see are going to attract law firms like you and the other big law firms who have different offices worldwide? So, what are going the areas going to be for of interest?
Well, the Indian economy, of course, is an incredible growth story. There's enormous accumulations of wealth, and I think we're going to only see more of that. In the Indian economy, the Indian large companies are going to project themselves more and more internationally. So I think there's going to be more cross-border international work. There'll be more arbitration work. Uh, Foreign companies are going to be reluctant, as for that matter, Indian companies are, to resolve disputes in Indian courts. There'll be more and more arbitration, especially in Singapore, which is a favorite venue for the Indian companies. Another area where I think that there's going to be growth is, the amazing innovation and growing tech community in India, where there are something like 5 million new software engineers graduated from technical schools every year. I
Right.
suspect we're going to see more international Indian tech companies, which will project their marketing and their products and their services beyond India. And so that's going to create opportunities for companies that do intellectual property litigation, tech related work, to service those companies outside India.
Absolutely right. So, coming to your prestigious law firm, sir. So, what are the technical areas of expertise and practice where you seek your law firm's expansion of its footprint in the Indian legal industry?
Well, again, I mean, we're not looking to open an office in India, but as I said, where I think we can be of service to Indian companies and high net worth individuals is in arbitration. I mean,
Hmm.
we have arbitration practices in London, Paris, New York, Washington, Hong Kong, and we've applied to open an office in Singapore. which, as I said, is very important for Indian companies. So I think arbitration is one area. And then again, another area is intellectual property, patent litigation disputes, technology related disputes. We have the largest patent disputes practice in the world,
Right.
with patent disputes lawyers in several places in the US and also in Germany and in London, Germany being the second most important forum in the world after the US for resolution of patent disputes. So I would say those are two principal areas, but then you're going to have the general cross-border disputes issues, whether they're regulatory issues with governments, disputes with counterparties, joint venture partners, and the like. So our approach there would be like any other jurisdiction, to help Indian companies avoid disputes and resolve them when they surface.
Absolutely right, sir. So, like you told, and that you are not looking forward to establishing an office in India. So, with the coming of these BCI rules, there have been some interest by foreign law firms, and like yours also. So, is there they have been collaborating with the Indian law firms, like Denton's has collaborated with Link Legal. So, is something like that would also be possible for law firms or for you to explore in India?
Well, I mean, we don't form formal alliances with other firms, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah,
Uh, we want to be available to have good relations with lots of major firms, so that, for example, if it's a Western or US client that needs local Indian help, that we'll be in a position to select the best firm for that particular matter, for that type of issue, and not be wedded to an alliance with any one particular firm. And we want to be available to provide services and help to many different Indian companies and law firms. So,
right.
it's unlikely that we're going to try to form some, specific alliance with any one firm.
Oh, absolutely right. So, with coming of foreign law firms, sir, there will be an increase in the competition among the law firms between, as in foreign law firms and the Indian law firms. So, what is your take on the competition that they will face, or is it really a competition?
As I said, I'm not sure it's a competition, actually. I mean, I think the international firms and the Indian domestic firms provide different uh, types of advice and services. I mean, by definition, if an international firm is involved, there's some international aspect, probably some foreign law aspect to the issue, and the foreign firm may be the best position to provide that kind of advice, but they're going to need the Indian firm on the ground to interface with the client and provide the Indian perspective. So I see those as complementary services and not necessarily as competing services.
Right. So, with coming of foreign law firm in India, and arbitration forms a very important aspect in which the involvement of foreign law firms will be uh, there. So, do you see the culture of arbitration will see a big shift in terms of practice and give push to make India a hub of arbitration, which it aspires to be a hub of international commercial arbitration?
Well, that's a big look. There's a lot of countries in the world that have tried to establish themselves as international arbitration centers. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, California. Several years ago, we had a mayor for a while who thought it would, we have all these international communities and businesses coming through Los Angeles. Shouldn't we try to make Los Angeles into an arbitration hub? And it turns out that's really hard to do. I mean, you have a whole infrastructure, you have a whole international arbitration bar and bench, for that matter, of arbitrators, and it's difficult to. I mean, the Koreans have also worked very hard at trying to develop Korea into an international arbitration center, and I'm not sure how successful that has been. So I would say I think it's kind of a tall order, frankly.
Uh, right. So, coming to the Bar Council of India rules, do you think they need to provide more clarity on the entry of foreign law firms, or any additional aspects you think they should have covered or need to cover in the rules that they have framed?
Look, I'm not an expert at all on those proposed rules. I'm absolutely not. So I'm not in a position to comment on it. I
Okay.
know a number of Indian lawyers have told me that they think there's a need for more clarity. And I've heard Indian lawyers say there's a need for more guidance. But guidance on what and clarity on what, I'm not really clear on. It's not something I know very well.
Okay. Right, sir. So, since you have been working since so many years, and you must have come across the work that has been done by Indian judiciary or the jurisprudence that's been developed. So, what is your view about Indian judiciary and its role towards development of jurisprudence worldwide?
Well, I think the Indian judiciary does an amazing job with an incredible caseload. I mean, somebody told me there's something like 50 million cases in the courts in India. And these judges who hear these cases in the major commercial courts in Mumbai, for example, every day they show up to work and they face a crushing caseload and work extremely hard to make sure that the important issues are addressed. So I have nothing but admiration based on the reports I've heard about the job that the judiciary does in India.
Right. Thank you. So, coming close to the heels on what you said, sir, Indian judiciary in the under the guidance of the current Honorable CJ Chandrachud has leapfrogged in terms of development of digital infrastructure, like you may say virtual hearings, live streaming of proceedings, live transcription of constitutional bench hearings, and digital courts. So, will this move or proactive approach by the Chief Justice of India will help better integration of foreign law firms in the Indian legal industry?
Well, look, I mean, the Indian business, legal community, and indeed government services generally are very sophisticated from a digital standpoint, and I have to believe that that's a good thing, and that everyone benefits from that, whether it's foreign law firms or domestic law firms or the litigants themselves.
Right. So, coming to our second last question. So, sir, where do you see the future of foreign law firms in India, and corresponding to that, the future of the Indian legal industry with the coming of such foreign law firms?
Well, again, my prediction is that there'll be a very slow uh, uptake on the opportunity to open offices in India. You'll see a few firms do it. I do not believe it's going to be transformational anytime soon or at all. I do think that the international firms and the domestic firms have an opportunity to work together and provide better services to clients. So I don't. If you look at the examples of Japan and other countries, the things that members of the bar, lawyers were most concerned about never took place, never happened, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if the same isn't true in India.
Right. So, coming to our last question for the interview, so, sir, what would be your advice and words of wisdom for the young lawyers and in India who are looking forward to the entry of foreign law firms in India? What would be your advice?
Well, I don't know that the advice is any different, whether there's foreign law firms that are coming or not. Um, it's important for young lawyers to get as much experience as they can in as many different areas as they possibly can. I mean, the early part of your career, you want to see a lot of different things, get a lot of different kinds of experiences. Over time, you'll find something that you will specialize in, that you'll become known for, and that you'll become an expert in. But early on, you want to have a lot of different types of experiences and see different types of cases and legal problems, and that I think is the most important thing to focus on.
Yes, it's like as in general advice for the young lawyers, like you have been a trial lawyer in India, a trial is the most important starting point for any case. So what will be your advice to the young lawyers as a trial lawyer? So what should they focus on early in their career, or they should go for specialization, or should start from the as a trial court, then go for the higher courts in terms of practice?
Well, I really don't know the Indian court system well enough to give advice in those terms, the way that you frame the question. But in general, I think you want to get experience. You want to get comfortable. As if you want to be a trial lawyer, you need to get experience and get comfortable on your feet, and look for opportunities to do that. And raise your hand and say you're interested in doing it. And early on, you'll have to take on less important matters involving less money or where less is at stake, just to get that experience. But getting the experience is what's important.
Absolutely right, sir. So with this, we come to an end of this interview of with you, and it was our pleasure to have this opportunity to meet you virtually, and we look forward to meeting you physically whenever you are in Delhi. And it will be great to have more discussions on other different topics, host you or for a for a different session, physical session or a seminar, so as to uh, share your wisdom with the wider audience who are more in, will be eager to listen to your views. And so I'll just stop this recording, and I'll just come back.
Okay, thank you, Davyanesh. Thank you.